problem. I still got plan C.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Week 13 in the books, baby. Well, now it'll be in the books. Right now, technically it's not, but when you're listening to this, it will be. What's going on, everyone? Great to be here playing C Podcast. NFL Week 13 recap coming at you. Talked about the 49ers, talked about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and also touched sort of on the college football stuff. We don't know a ton, so, what we are saying could be wrong, but hey, we still got opinions, so listen in and you'll hear them. Anyway, make sure you are liking, sharing, subscribing. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor Breaker, so many more, all over the place, all over the world, all over your phone. Plan C is there. What's up? Hope everyone is having a great day. I'm not going to waste too much of your time. Let's get into it. We're back. Hello. What's going on? As you can tell by my lovely intro, yeah, that's right. I know what it was. We're talking about Chiefs in the A block. Last night lost to the Packers on Sunday Night Football, and close game, but it was another display of like, hey, nobody's open. Patrick is just having to scramble a lot, and yeah, I am joined as always by AJ. AJ, what's going on?
How's it going, Colin?
Yeah, it's going all right. Can't complain. It's my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. Love you very much. I don't know if
Mr. Colin's dad
gonna listen to this, but happy birthday, Dad. December 4th. Shout out. So we've now come to a point where the Kansas City Chiefs are the 4 seed. And I mean, I don't know if we want to start freaking out about it yet, but things don't look great. They've had their best defense this year, pretty much in the Mahomes era. And Patrick looks great. They have a really good group of running backs. But Patrick doesn't seem to really have anyone to throw to. They've invested 2 second-round picks in the past 2 years, in the past 2 drafts rather, in Rice and Sky Moore. And as of now, those don't really seem to be panning out, which is tough because it seems that wide receivers just kind of grow on trees these days.
So got to give them a little bit of time, so like it's difficult because they're still so young. So to say that it's not working out typically would seem pretty crazy, but they got Patrick Mahomes.
Sky Moore is not working. We can say Sky Moore is not working out.
Yeah. But with Patrick Mahomes being their quarterback, they should be balling out.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough. Mahomes, the Packers have a solid defense, but that's not a world-beating defense. And one would think that, hey, with Kelsey and Pacheco going over 100 yards, that should be able to do better, but they're not. And it's coming down to late game situations where Mahomes is heaving it down the field. And I know there was a no call for pass interference, but this is the pattern, And you know what? So what if you get that fucking? So what if you get that pass interference call? Do we have belief that there's going to be somebody open in the end zone now? Like it's not going to solve the problem, you know.
I think the fact that they had a chance, right? With Mahomes, Andy Reid, you're always gonna have a chance. That no call on the DPI, yes, that was horrible, but it was a makeup for the blatantly inbounds late hit call on the same
Yeah,
drive.
yeah, no, for sure.
Um, I don't mean to be that guy because it sounds stupid, but my dad pointed this out to me, and I called him stupid when he pointed this out to me a couple weeks ago. Travis Kelsey he does not look the same as he did at the beginning of the season. Do you think distractions have anything to do with it? We saw him make statements that not that long ago, just about 2 weeks ago, that retirement's on his mind. With the whole Taylor Swift thing, I don't mean to like put this on his relationship. We saw him traveling out of the country, being with Taylor Swift on her tour. His girlfriend is a billionaire. Talking about retirement, do you think that do you see a difference with Travis the last couple of weeks? Like you said, I call my dad stupid for pointing it out, but
I
I can't really deny it too much.
I think Travis Kelsey is a 34-year-old tight end.
But we still saw him dominating in the beginning of the season. But
I mean,
now it's just, I mean, is it because he's the only real receiving threat on that team? I mean, it's been the case for a little while before. This is not much of a different team or a different receiving core than this team they had last year, and they won the
you
Super Bowl
know,
last year.
he's really only had 2 games where he's like popped the fuck off. So I I think that he's 34, and we forget that in preseason he fucked up his calf. Um and who knows what else he could have picked up during that time. Again, he hasn't gone over 100. He's only gone over 100 yards two times this season. Um he's only had 10 catches twice. Over 10 catches twice. He hasn't had a multiple game touchdown this season. He's been catching touchdowns. What? He has 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 4 touchdowns. And you're like, I don't know. I think this is just like this is a culmination of a bunch of things. This is Kelsey being older. This is not having, somebody like Tyreek Hill to take the top off. Um it's not having another, reliable number 1 wide receiver to throw to. Um yeah, I don't know.
I
It's a
Yeah,
culmination of things. That being said,
it definitely is.
that being said, I do think the people who are freaking out, like, let's take it a little easy. I understand that, yeah, you are the 4th seed right now. Um, but you're only a game back from the Dolphins, who are in the 1st seed. And you have that tiebreaker. So, I don't know.
And the
I
Chiefs
think
are they're not gonna drop. They're not gonna drop below the fourth seed.
no,
Nobody else
no.
in that division is gonna catch them.
No, and yeah, you have the division locked up. You know you're gonna have a home playoff game, barring something horrific. And yeah, no, I think people need to calm down. It's very easy right now to just like it's very easy right now to scrutinize the Chiefs, but they have made all the right moves. And for paying your quarterback, I think I don't even know what his cap hit this year is, but it's probably north of 50. For paying your quarterback as much as they are, like, it's okay. We saw the 49ers lose 3 games in a row, guys, and now they're the best team in football. you know, you know,
Yeah.
Like these
So
things come in waves.
so you're not worried.
I I mean,
Cap hit this year is only 37 million, by the way.
worry is not at all what I would say. I would say I have questions, but they're chilling. Like what they're gonna fix this in the offseason. They're gonna fix this in the offseason, and they're gonna trade for
Get a number
somebody
one.
incredible. They're gonna give up 2 first-round picks for somebody incredible. Watch. It's gonna
Like
be
Tyreek Hill.
fantastic. Huh. No, that would take
It really makes you look back.
5 first-round picks.
Like those two were so good together, but seeing how good Tyreek is with Miami and knowing how good Patrick Mahomes still is, makes you wonder how these guys did not put up just absolutely stupid numbers when they were together, right? Like, how did that not? How did it not like culminate to more? I know they were an amazing tandem together, but like, just makes you wonder.
It is interesting because you're like, wait, Eric Bieniemy goes to Washington and they've been frisky on offense. Andy Reid is still like, he's just a legendary play caller. And Mike McDaniel is also they're all so successful now that they're separate. But when they were together, like they were so awesome. But how are they not like even better,
Yeah.
Not saying Mike McDonald was in Kansas City, but I meant Tyreek, blah blah blah. No, it's incredible because it was there like an old school Andy Reid style where like Tyreek was being held back, or was it a thing where like, Travis Kelce was the real number one that entire time? Yeah, I don't quite know. But it's an interesting question to ponder. It's also something interesting to think about. What if Tyreek Hill gets traded to the Jets instead of the Dolphins? Like,
Mm. Mm.
how different is Zach Wilson's career? How different is Tua's career?
You probably don't have Zach Wilson saying, "No, I'm good," as they're trying to insert him back in the starting lineup.
Hey, the Jets have denied that. Anyway, no, it's crazy to think about. Yeah,
Like
and
I
just
said, at worst, the Chiefs will be the fourth seed, but with 4 teams behind you, 1 game back, all is sitting at a 7-5 record, and the Broncos are still there. To take a phrase of yours, the Broncos are still playing pretty frisky. You
the
know,
thing is
if
though, the thing is though, I'm sorry to interrupt. Please, were you done?
no, no, please go. Yeah,
Um, the thing is though, like the
yeah.
Chiefs' schedule after this next week is a joke. It's a joke. They're at New England, home Raiders, home Bengals, at Chargers. Like
Mm.
you could not ask for an easier fucking path to the first round to the first round bye, um meanwhile like the Ravens, their schedule is rough going forward. You host the Rams, which okay, like they'll be frisky, but we can wrap that up. You go to Jacksonville. Okay. So whoever, no matter who wins that game, it benefits the Chiefs. You go to San Francisco, enjoy that. Enjoy that game, Baltimore. Enjoy that game. You host Miami. Enjoy that game, Baltimore. Enjoy that game. That's another one where no matter who wins or loses, the Chiefs benefit. And then you host Pittsburgh, which I mean, I don't know what the status of Kenny Pickett is, but if you're playing Mitch Trubisky, best of luck. But I,
Either
I mean,
way, I think.
yeah, I don't know. I still Chiefs fans, it's okay. It's gonna be fine. Take a deep breath. You're all good. And I mean, like, Miami doesn't really like play anyone for a couple weeks here, depending on how you feel about the Jets. I mean, maybe if Aaron Rodgers comes back, that would be really funny. But they have tough games down the stretch too. Their last 3 weeks, home Dallas, at Baltimore, home Buffalo. None of those are easy wins. So I'm just, I don't know. Chiefs fans, you're all good. You've won 2 Super Bowls in the past 5 years, right? I think my math is right on that. You're all good. You're all good. You've beaten some really, really good football teams, and you're okay. It's all good now. It's all good. Um, yeah, I mean, 5 straight AFC Championship games at Arrowhead. What more do I have to say?
Yeah, you can't count them out.
Yeah.
You can't be too worried unless they lose the big one.
Anything else before we move on?
All I gotta say is they gotta watch out for that 7-5 Indianapolis team.
That would be a fun matchup. That would be a fun matchup. Anyway,
The Colts have had the Chiefs number the last few years.
anyway, it's ever since that weird Jamal Charles game when the AFC wildcard game when
Oh,
they
that's my
came all the way
favorite Andrew
back.
Luck game ever.
That was such a fun football game. Anyway,
Oh.
speaking of fun football games, the 49ers did not make the Eagles game very fun if you're an
I
Eagles
was
fan.
I was gonna say, where are you going with that? That game was not fun at all.
Yeah. 49ers just really just kicked the shit out of the Eagles. I think that was the 49ers being like, you
Just
went to the Super Bowl
whipping their
last year? Like, no, we were fucking supposed to be in the Super Bowl last year. 42-19, just didn't do anything for 2 drives. For the first quarter, they scored 0 points. And then the remaining 3 quarters, they scored 14 points in each quarter. Just truly fucking dominant. What was your take on this game?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. It's funny, I text you. We have like an ongoing joke that we have a curse going in this podcast. Any team we glaze up or talk highly about or any player completely shit the bed the next game. And it happened again. We were talking about how
We have
dominant the
some macro
Eagles
curses
looked.
too, I think.
We're trying to swing it in favor of our teams. But yeah, no, we were glazing up the Eagles last week, and they come out and put up that performance. After all the shit talking, I really did not think. Yeah, I saw so many people upset that the Eagles were underdogs. I think you texted me, surprised that the Eagles were
I
what, 10
I
point
I
underdogs.
was I was shocked that they were underdogs. It
LaShawn McCoy was going off about the spread and how they're just numbers. The gambling books, they don't really know sports, shit like that. And yeah, that spread was not even close to enough.
yeah, no.
Should have
It
been more.
was it was minus it was I think it closed at -3. And I
Jesus.
personally, I was like, how am I not just I think I said to somebody, I was like, I was describing the situation and I was like, how do you not just bet the farm on this, And I'm glad I didn't, to be honest. I only put a $5 free bet on it, but it's I was very wrong. However, I was wrong with my betting, but if you were listening to the last show, I did say that the 49ers, if they beat the Eagles, that they now make this week very interesting because the Eagles now face the Cowboys at home. And whoever wins that, I believe, is in first place of the division, just based off of all the stupid little tiebreakers. So, very interesting matchup coming up. We will see if the Cowboys can rise to the challenge because I could 1 billion% see the Eagles winning like 40-0 and just like everyone being like, "Oh, yep, Cowboys still bad."
I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what it comes down to. I was pretty surprised. I was not surprised if the 49ers won. Don't get me wrong. They're on a bit of a hot streak ever since, ever since they're getting healthy. They're kind of beating the shit out of teams again, which is how they started the season. I'm more surprised that it was such a lopsided game.
Mm.
Like the Eagles could not get anything going whatsoever. Emotions were high. Head of security was getting involved. It was a
Yeah.
slugger, but
They've
usually
kind
when you
of
see sluggers, it's close, and just wasn't close whatsoever. It just got ugly at the end of the game.
you make a great point about the Niners. The last four teams that they've faced have all been playoff hopefuls. Jaguars, Bucks, Seahawks, Eagles, and they have kicked the shit out of all of them. 34-3, 27-14, 31-13, 42-19. They have wow. I mean, again, I know we said it on previous episodes, but wow, Debo and fucking and Trent Williams going out, hey, maybe if you lose two of your three best players, it makes sense that you start falling off a little.
You'll probably suck a little bit. You know, there's only been one team, there's only been the 49ers over that stretch of 4 games have allowed next to nothing. There's only one team in the NFL who's allowed less points over that same stretch. Do you know who it is?
Is it the Indianapolis Colts?
No, but they're there. They're close. But no, 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 no. It's not.
Oh, is it? Oh no, wait.
The
It's the New England Patriots, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It
27.
was
It's like
ridiculous.
27 points over the last 3 games or something like that.
And all losses.
Yeah.
And all losses. Poor
Caleb
bastards.
Williams.
No,
This team, this Patriots team could get good quick. Because that defense is scary.
they got to make a lot of improvements. I'm not. We'll see what happens
If
this
I'm
year's loss,
Kraft,
but
I'm like Bill Belichick. You are doing a marvelous tanking job. Like this is art. This is art, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you fucking tank. Because now they have to get a first round, or now they have to get like 1 or 2, especially with the Cardinals winning this week.
Yeah, there's no way they win any other games the rest of the year. I remember seeing when the Spurs drafted Wemby, because there's always comparisons between Belichick and Pop, right? The Spurs, the equivalent of the Spurs sucking 1 year and getting Wemby would be the equivalent of the Patriots sucking and getting Caleb Williams. And it's gonna happen.
Lol.
It is absolutely going to happen.
I don't know if the
History repeats
Panthers win
itself.
another game. That's the one team I don't know about. I mean, shit.
But I
They
don't
might beat the
I don't
Saints
see
this week.
Chicago.
I'm gonna bet against the Saints
You-
this week, but we'll see.
I just don't see Chicago picking a quarterback. Either way, the Patriots just gotta do what they're doing, and they're gonna get one of the top 2 quarterbacks, one of 2 very good quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They cannot fuck this up and win one more game.
I think they might.
At
I
this
think they
point,
might
you
win
can't
one
do
more
it.
game. I think they might win one more game. But
If they do it and
they have the
pull
leeway
like
to.
well, yeah, they do, but
Because
they just gotta do everything they can. Control your own destiny. Look what happened with Houston well, I guess it's a little different. They got lucky. Houston lucked out that they won that Week 18 game last year. But you want to have the choice. You know what I mean?
I think what's gonna happen. Here's my prediction: is that they will continue to lose out, and then it's gonna be Week 18. They will have locked up 1 or 2. They will have the same amount of wins as the Panthers. The Panthers are going to pick up another win. Mark my words. Be it this week or next. And they will beat the Jets and get that third win. And because they lost to the Giants, so you're not gonna get you're gonna have preference over them. They lost to the Commies, so you're gonna have preference over them too. So hey, we'll see what happens, but I think they've really fucking pulled this off. Nobody else in the conference is going to catch them. Titans are the lowest team, Jets the lowest team, but they have 4 wins. Patriots have 2 wins. Patriots aren't winning 2 more games. The only teams they have to worry about at this point are the Panthers and Cardinals, really. Yeah. That's my take.
What a race.
What a race.
What a race to watch.
What a race to the bottom, baby. It's like they've really like brought out the dump trucks. I mean, we're not going to get too much into it because this is 49ers part, but oh my god, it's so bad.
It's hard to watch.
Back to the Niners. What do you think their chances of getting the number 1 seed are?
I think their chances are pretty high. The fact that they're dominating these very, very good teams. Right? Don't forget they beat the shit out of the Cowboys too.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're beating these other top teams in
Yeah,
the
so
NFC, I think
tiebreakers.
bode pretty well.
Yeah, they and all of their losses won't affect head-to-head tiebreakers because they've lost to 2 AFC opponents and they lost to the Vikings, and Josh Dobbs has come down to earth. Haha.
Because of us.
Yeah, I'm Josh. I'm so
That was a
sorry.
good one. That was a good one.
I'm so sorry. Anyway, 49ers remaining schedule: Seahawks, Cardinals, Ravens, Commies, Rams.
Not an easy schedule.
Not necessarily an easy schedule, no. Especially, I don't know. I feel like the Niners always roll the Seahawks and the Cardinals these days.
But you never know with divisional games.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly. And then the Ravens, that's going to be a hard one. That'll be on Christmas. That'll be such a fun thing to do on Christmas night. Oh, wait, I won't be able to do that because I will be in Los Angeles. Anyway.
All over the place. Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, doing Christmas in LA, visiting my sister. Very excited. Anyway, no, so it's an interesting slate. And I think that the 49ers can get there. You need help from the Eagles. Yeah, but I don't think a team like the Niners are catching them. I don't think the Cowboys are going to catch them. Obviously I could be wrong on that, but I think the 49ers, you can't lose one more game because the Eagles only have 2 losses. So you got to win out to get the number 1 seed, basically. And I think they have that within them. I think they have that within them, but we'll fucking see. Anything else on the Niners before we move on?
Move on.
All right. Last topic, and probably the most controversial. This weekend was championship weekend for college football, and I know we don't do much college football on this podcast / have never done any college football outside of draft stuff. But we felt we wanted to talk about, the potential miscarriage of justice that happened with the college football playoffs. So, AJ, do you want to describe what happened, and we'll take it from there?
So, like you said, this weekend was championship weekend. Alabama, who had been kind of hovering around the top 4 all season, they had a pretty rough stretch of the season. Actually looked like this was going to be one of the first years where they weren't going to make the playoffs. They were making quarterback changes. Jalen Milroe finally figured it out, kind of pulled it together. This weekend, they played Georgia, who has been ranked number 1 all season. Obviously, the reigning champs. Georgia has now lost in 29 games. So Georgia's a powerhouse. Alabama went in and beat them. The fact that they beat them, I knew it was going to shake things up. I think I even joked to my dad that I don't see Georgia getting knocked out of the top 4 off of that one loss, but that's exactly what happened. But surprisingly, that's not what people are upset about. What people are upset about is that Alabama made the 4th spot. So the rankings for the playoffs this year we're going to be Washington, Michigan, Texas, and Alabama. FSU, Florida State, missed out. And there's a very obvious and clear reason why they missed out. They went undefeated this season, but they lost their starting quarterback to a horrific leg injury earlier in the season, or just a few games ago. And that's pretty much the only reason why they're not in the college football playoffs.
Yeah. And, I think FSU beat like 2 ranked opponents where Alabama beat 4. But people forget, like, the college football playoff, this isn't for fucking, like, this isn't to find out necessarily who's the best team. This is to find out who makes the best TV. This is a ratings game. And it's been that way. College football fans like to shit on the NFL and be like, oh, well, they're only playing for money, no pride, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Like, at least we have a good ending to our season, and
but that's the problem that you just mentioned. No, that shouldn't be how it is. It shouldn't just be for ratings. I mean,
hey, I
don't even like that notion.
I'm not saying that I agree with it. I'm just saying that's how it is.
So there's a lot of back and forth going on today.
Alabama and Texas are going to get a lot more ratings than Florida State. I'm sorry to let I mean, personally, I think Georgia should have been in there, but that's just me.
I think the fact that Georgia got knocked out is pretty crazy, considering that they held that top spot all season. That one is pretty crazy. I see what you're saying. I go back and forth between this topic. I really am, because just a couple days ago, they played against Louisville. FSU did, excuse me. Backup quarterback. It was not a great game. Okay, we'll just say that. And you're right. The committee is trying to put together the best product for fans, for ratings, for the college football playoffs. A backup quarterback, was not going to be. It probably wouldn't have been watchable games. It would have been something like we saw last year with TCU in the national championship game, where it just was so one-sided and it just wasn't even an enjoyable game whatsoever.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of back and forth today, going back and forth. I see so many different things. Some people are saying that it was essentially a wasted season. It was a perfect season for FSU, and yet they're not going to benefit, and they're not going to be able to play in the playoffs, despite having a near.
Yeah, I agree, and it's fucked up, but like, this is, I don't know, this is what it is, unfortunately. This is just the NCAA, and like, this is them being corrupt fucks. It's not about necessarily the best team, it's about the best storyline. And people can make. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I was cutting you off. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, and in these parameters, like, this is what the answer is going to be. So when you lose your quarterback, like, yeah, you're not going to be as marketable anymore. I'm sorry. People are going to want to watch that quarterback, and if he's not playing, people aren't going to potentially watch. Or they're going to be like, oh no, it's a backup quarterback, they're going to get blown out. It's FSU, they're going to get blown out. I personally think it needs to be.
So given the parameters, like you said, this is
okay. What's up?
So it's gonna change. It's gonna change. But given the parameters, is how things go. Do you think it was the right decision?
I agree with Michigan. I agree with Texas. I agree with Alabama. You couldn't not include Washington in there, because it would have been like really bad to fuck Washington and to fuck Georgia, if you don't have 2 undefeated teams in there, then you're like, okay, like this is bad. Personally, I think Georgia probably should have made it over Washington. But that's just me. And then if you do that, then you start getting all of this like, oh, East Coast bias, dumb shit. Not East Coast necessarily, because Alabama and Michigan aren't East Coast, but you know what I mean, where it's like, oh, the eastern part of the country, it's they want all the media stuff. I don't know. That's personally how I guess I see it. But I would have done Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Texas. Like if it under those parameters. Yeah.
But you don't think FSU should have made it regardless? It sounds like.
In with these guidelines that I am setting, where I'm like, yes, this is a ratings contest. Yes.
See, it's totally different circumstances, but like, we don't know if this backup quarterback, and I'm such an asshole because I don't even know his name. I don't know his name off the top of my head. We don't know. He could have come in and have a Cinderella run and been the guy and taken FSU to the championship game. But despite being the backup quarterback, like, this is not a bad team, right? Just because
Um
they lost one player, they still have some top end talent on this team that should have been
again
showcased. And the fact that they're not is it sucks.
against Louisville, their quarterback B Glenn, I don't know his first name, sorry, was 8 for 21 for 55 yards.
Yeah, he put up a stinker, but
Yeah.
that is a tough product to watch. I see both sides. I really do. Like, they probably would have been dog walked whoever they played, right? But and if I'm not mistaken, it would have been Michigan regardless. But it just feels so gross to me that the team's season essentially, like I said, I saw a take that said this season was essentially a waste. It was essentially for nothing. And I mean, that's kind of how it looks. The fact that the rest of the team is not going to get to finish the season because one player went down like that, such
I
a weird look to me.
It is definitely, I do not agree with it, but with under the circumstances, like I understand the logic. I think, really tough when you have 3 13-0 teams, and I think if, you know, I don't know, man. It's
It's
tough.
hard.
It's
See,
so tough. It's so tough. I honestly, what they need to do, and this is just like this is just off the top of my head. What would be fun is if you could have like alternating buys, and then just say like, okay, it's an 8 bracket tournament, but no 2 loss teams can make it. And so say there's only 6 teams that are non 2 loss teams, then those like top 2 seeds get buys. I don't know, something like that. Like, come on,
it just seems weird.
we're
It's
smart
weird
enough to
when,
figure this out.
yeah, yeah, the fact that we have a major sports league now in 2023, that you have top teams that aren't even getting a chance at the national championship. It's just it's odd. It sucks. So I'm glad this is the last year that we're gonna even have to have this conversation or face this dilemma with the playoffs being expanded to 12 teams. We're
I
gonna
think
see some fun stuff.
the 12 teams is gonna be such a shit show. I'm just letting you know.
You think so?
I think so.
In which way? Because I think this is gonna elevate college football big time,
Well, I
especially
think
to like a more general audience.
I agree that I agree that it's going to do that, that it's going to expand it, but we're still going to be having the same conversations. Because if you look up to, the 12th ranked team, um, from before, this weekend, it was Oklahoma, and Oklahoma had 2 losses. Now, we're in a pretty rare season where we have a lot of 2-loss and a lot of 1-loss teams, and a lot of no-loss teams. So, I think this year's a little bit of an exception. But in years past, you're going to have, potential, there's going to just be a lot more of this, oh, why didn't we make it? We only had 2 losses. There's a 3-loss team in there, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's dumb to, continue to, leave it to, such, it's so rigid, I think the 12-team structure is, is too rigid because there's no nuance in, okay, hey, maybe there's not as many playoff worthy teams this year. Some shit like that.
You think we're gonna have these problems? You're saying these problems are gonna be here regardless. It's just gonna be
these conversations are gonna keep happening. These
yeah.
conversations are gonna keep happening. That's what
But I'm okay with it happening at the lower level versus where it's happening now, the top teams, right? I think that's where I think that's where it becomes problematic. When it comes to those 2-win teams, I think it's a little more understandable, or it could be explained away a little bit more. It's always going to be weird, and with these conferences, with teams constantly changing conferences, it's going to continue to get messy and weird, like you said. But again, we're going to have some interesting matchups finally versus having relatively the same teams consistently for the last decade.
Yeah, Georgia and Alabama have made so many of the past playoffs and won most of them as well. Yeah, Georgia, Alabama, and fucking Ohio State have had a monopoly on the entire thing.
And before that, Clemson. It's just nonstop.
Yeah,
so
yeah, Clemson.
I think that'll be fun. General thoughts on the FSU thing. It sucks.
I would also just like to say that this will reward mediocrity. You're going to start to reward mediocrity. Missouri could not play offense all season, and they're ranked 9th. I know they lost against Michigan. They were ranked 9th. And it's shit like this where it's wow, we're gonna have to go watch a team who's over under in their championship game for points with 6.5. I'm gonna have to fucking watch underachieving as Penn State be mediocre and just get their shit kicked in. That's not what I want to see. I don't know. They're just we're gonna get to a point where it's 12 teams and it's just they're gonna expand to 16, and then they're gonna expand.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. Let's get a bracket style similar to basketball. Maybe not as many, obviously, but look how many Cinderella stories and upsets we see. I want to see something like that for college football. But let's make these playoff games matter. You have stars skipping games because they don't mean much towards the end of the season, skipping bowl games because they don't want to get hurt before the draft.
That's fair, but I think the difference between college teams are a lot wider than people think. I think the difference between Alabama and Penn State, even though they're ranked pretty close to each other, I think there's a big difference there.
Case in point, the easiest example of that was Colorado at the beginning.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god,
I agree with you.
People wanted Colorado in the fucking playoffs. I think they were ranked 16th at one point.
Did you see that Stephen A came out and said that if Deion was the head coach of Florida State, that they would have made the playoffs? And I don't disagree with him.
I totally agree with that. You look at the hype. Deion had people going to Boulder, Colorado. Lil Wayne was showing up to Colorado.
Dwayne Johnson.
What? No, absolutely. Yeah. I completely, because Deion would have I don't even have to explain myself. Deion would just I completely agree. Yeah. Anything else on this before we get out of here?
I think now that as we see transfer portals, NIL deals, players actually having a little bit more of a say in where they can go, right? We're not seeing the huge recruits just going to these top teams in the conference just because. I think it's going to take some time, but I really do think things will level out with the expansion of the playoffs. We might see a little bit more of a level playing field.
I
But who
think the
knows?
rankings will
Who knows?
change. I think the rankings will change. I think we'll start to see like 3 lost teams in the top 10 because the committee is like, oh, well, they got a lot of talent. Oh, they can make the playoffs. I'm alone laugh,
I do think, and I don't want to harp on it too much, but I do think that the exposure, the national media attention that this is getting, especially the video with the selection committee, I would not be surprised if we see some outcry for some changes in terms of that committee in
What? Like,
general.
why don't we do like, can we just do like ranked voting like we do for MVP in the NFL? Like, it's not, again, we're in 2023. Like, why? We're gonna look back at this 4-team shit and we're gonna be like, it's so archaic. And this selection committee shit, we're just gonna be like, it's so archaic. Like, why didn't we think of anything else for, there's so many things like
Yeah.
that where it's just like, why didn't we just like put logic into this? Anyway, that's a separate podcast. Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be good football. Shout out to not rewarding mediocrity, and yeah.
All that being said, I do think we're gonna have a very fun college football playoffs this season.
Oh no, the playoffs are gonna be great. Yeah, playoffs are gonna be great. I think it's fucking hilarious that Alabama and Michigan go head to head again. And if there's this great video of the Michigan players reacting to getting Alabama, and like nobody was excited. No, like
No,
it was like somebody just told them that the fucking second tower went down for 9/11. It was a grim fucking reaction.
well,
Yeah.
what?
Anyway, anything else?
I'm looking. No, it's gonna be interesting, man. We're gonna be having this conversation for years to come. So
Facts.
just enjoy what we get. We get football. Enjoy it regardless.
Next week, Indianapolis Colts ? A playoff team.
Topic
Anyway.
for the next few weeks.
Anyway, thank you all for listening, checking out the Plan C podcast. Hope you have enjoyed this episode. Make sure you are liking, sharing, subscribing, following, whole 9 yards. Appreciate it. This will come out, I'm thinking this will come out Tuesday morning. Because it's not late Monday night, but it's late enough Monday night East time. Yeah, so we'll hope you are having a great Tuesday. Thank you again for listening. Thank you again to AJ for pulling up and being a great part of the podcast as always. Yeah, and shout out to betting against the Saints. It's making me money this season, and I just emotionally hedging is getting me through the season. You do what you got to do. This I think I texted, just very quick aside. I think I texted you on Monday that the first quarter of the Saints game was like the worst quarter of Saints football in a minute. And hey, that was fucking true. And I think it's sadly just gonna keep tumbling down. But hey, the Saints are at 7 losses. Saints are at 7 losses. Maybe we can keep dropping. Maybe we can, pick up a really good offensive lineman. We'll fucking see, baby. Dennis Allen, please hit the bricks. Anyway, that's it for us here. Thank you again, AJ. Thank you again, everyone. Peace out, everyone. And have a good time. Peace.